My children kept saying, "Sign this, it's just paperwork." Their lawyer smiled too wide and pushed the pen closer. I looked down and noticed the document title, Voluntary Transfer of Control. I signed, with a different version of my name. That night, I received a text from the bank. New access request approved. The problem is, I never requested it. But let me back up 6 hours. The meeting was scheduled for 2 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon in November. Gray clouds hung low over the city, the kind that threaten rain but never quite deliver. Just cold air and wet wind that cuts through your jacket. I drove downtown to Grant Holloway's office. Polished glass tower, marble lobby, the kind of place where everyone whispers and nobody smiles without a reason. Tyler and Brooke were already there when I arrived. My son wore a suit that cost more than my first car, crisp navy with a tie that probably had a name I couldn't pronounce. My daughter looked like she'd stepped out of a magazine, hair perfect, makeup subtle but expensive, the kind of put together that takes 2 hours to look effortless. They both hugged me. "Thanks for coming, Dad," Tyler said. "We know you're busy," Brooke added, her voice pitched in that careful range between concern and cheerfulness. Their spouses stood behind them. Megan, Tyler's wife, gave me a warm smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She was good at that, smiling like she meant it while calculating something else entirely. Cole, Brooke's husband, shook my hand with the firm grip of someone who'd practiced it. He had the kind of face people trust in business meetings, clean-cut, friendly, forgettable. "Dean, good to see you," Grant Holloway said, emerging from the inner office. He was mid-50s, silver hair styled to look casual, but probably maintained weakly, wearing a suit that whispered money without shouting it. "Thanks for making time. I know this seemed sudden." "Tyler said it was important," I replied. "Just routine protection," Holloway said smoothly. "Estate planning, really. Making sure everything's organized if, God forbid, something unexpected happens." He gestured toward the conference room. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. A long table polished to a mirror shine. Documents already arranged in neat stacks at the head seat. A pen placed just so, like a prop in a stage play. We sat. Holloway slid the papers toward me. "This is a voluntary transfer of control document," he explained, his voice soothing, practiced. "It essentially allows Tyler and Brooke to act on your behalf in business matters if you're unavailable or incapacitated. Think of it as a power of attorney, but specific to the company." I picked up the first page. The language was dense, legal, the kind of text that blurs together if you're not careful. "It protects you," Brooke said. She was leaning forward, hands clasped on the table. "If something happens, we can keep things running smoothly." "It's standard," Tyler added. "Everyone at this level does it." "It's for emergencies," Megan said, her voice gentle. I glanced at Elise, my wife, sitting beside me. She was quiet, her face neutral, but I caught the way her eyes tracked across the room. She'd been a corporate compliance specialist before we married, spent 15 years reading contracts that companies didn't want anyone to read. She knew when something was off. "How long have you been planning this?" I asked. "A few weeks," Tyler said. "We wanted to get everything right before bringing it to you." "We consulted with Grant," Brooke added, nodding toward Holloway. "He helped us structure it properly." Holloway smiled. "I've known your family for years, Dean. This is absolutely in your best interest." I turned the pages slowly. The document was maybe 20 pages long, filled with clauses and subclauses, definitions and exceptions. My company, Mercer Services, wasn't flashy. We handled facilities management contracts, maintenance services, logistics coordination. Boring on paper, profitable in practice. 30 years of steady growth, reliable clients, and a reputation for getting things done without drama. "Walk me through the key points," I said. Holloway leaned back, fingers steepled. "Essentially, you're designating Tyler and Brooke as co-managers with full authority to make operational decisions, sign contracts, access accounts, and execute transactions on behalf of the company. You retain ownership, of course, but they handle day-to-day control. Day-to-day control, I repeated. Think of it as delegation, Tyler said. You've been carrying everything yourself for decades, Dad. This lets you step back without the company grinding to a halt. Brooke nodded. You've earned it. Let us handle the stress. I looked at the signature line. My name typed beneath it. Dean Mercer. Something felt wrong. Not obviously wrong, not lawsuit wrong, just off. Like walking into your house and knowing someone moved your keys while you were gone. The air in the room was too careful, everyone's posture too practiced, the smiles too synchronized. Elise shifted beside me. I felt her hand brush mine under the table. Not a touch, just a presence, a signal. Can I take this home to review? I asked. Holloway's smile tightened. Just a fraction. Of course, but we do need to finalize this by end of week. There's a board meeting next Monday that requires this structure to be in place. Board meeting? I asked. I don't recall scheduling one. We did, Tyler said quickly. Emergency session. There's a contract renewal that needs immediate attention, and the client wants to confirm management structure before signing. Which client? The Riverside account, Brooke said. They're nervous about continuity. Riverside was our second largest contract, worth 8 figures annually. Losing them would hurt. Sign today, and we can move forward smoothly, Holloway said. Delay, and we risk the client pulling out. I picked up the pen. Elise's hand moved again. Not touching me, just resting on the table, fingers spread slightly. I knew what she was saying without words. Don't. But I also knew what delaying would look like. Suspicious. Uncooperative. Like I didn't trust my own children. So I signed. But I signed with my full name, Dean J. Mercer. I always sign Dean Mercer. No middle initial. That's my signature. Has been for 30 years. Every contract, every bank document, every legal form, Dean Mercer, clean and simple. But today I added the J. My legal name is Dean James Mercer. Most people don't know that. I never use the middle name. Never have. But it's on my birth certificate, my driver's license, my passport. I signed Dean J. Mercer and slid the papers back across the table. Holloway glanced at the signature, nodded, and gathered the documents into a folder. Perfect. We'll file these tomorrow morning. That's it? I asked. That's it, he said. Simple, right? Tyler stood, smiling. Thanks, Dad. This takes a huge weight off our shoulders. Brooke hugged me again. We'll take good care of everything, promise. We left the office together, walking toward the elevator. Megan and Cole were already talking about dinner plans, something casual, maybe Italian, their voices light and easy. Tyler was checking his phone. Brooke was adjusting her coat. Normal. Too normal. Elise and I rode down alone. The elevator was silent except for the hum of the cables. You saw it, I said quietly. I saw it, she confirmed. What did you see? The notary stamp is dated 2 days ago. I turned to her. What? The document we signed today was notarized on Tuesday, but we weren't there Tuesday. The elevator doors opened. We stepped into the lobby. Cold air rushed in from the revolving doors. People moved around us, busy, anonymous. Don't call them, Elise said. Don't warn them. Then what? Call the bank. We drove home in silence. The suburbs were quiet, streets lined with trees that had dropped most of their leaves. Our house sat at the end of a cul-de-sac, brick and white trim, neat lawn, the kind of place that looks safe and boring and exactly like it should. Inside, I pulled out my phone. The bank's text message was waiting. New access request approved. Dean Mercer, authorization confirmed at 3:47 p.m. I called the customer service line. Automated menu. Press 1 for this, 2 for that. Finally, a human voice. Mercer Services business account, I said. I need to verify a recent access request. One moment, sir. Hold music. Soft jazz that made my teeth itch. Mr. Mercer, I see the request here. Approved this afternoon for co-manager access. Who requested it? You did, sir. The request came through your registered email with matching identity verification. What email? She read it back. It was my company email, the one I use every day. And identity verification? I asked. Driver's license scan and security answers. All matched our records. When was this initiated? Request was submitted at 2:15 p.m., approved at 3:47 p.m. 2:15. While I was sitting in Holloway's office, someone was using my email to request bank access. Thank you, I said, and hung up. Elise was standing in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed. They didn't just push paperwork, I said slowly. They built a parallel identity around me. She nodded. And now we find out how deep it goes. I sat at the kitchen table, laptop open, scrolling through my email history. Nothing unusual in the sent folder. No access requests, no confirmations. But they'd sent it from my account, which meant they had my password, which meant they'd been inside my digital life long enough to move without leaving traces I'd notice. Elise sat across from me, her own laptop open. She was checking corporate bylaws, articles of incorporation, board meeting rules. When's the last time you changed your passwords? She asked. 6 months ago. Who has access to your office computer? Just me. Your phone? Locked. Fingerprint. Cloud backup? I stopped. Tyler set that up last year, said it would keep everything secure. Elise looked up. He set up your cloud backup. To help me, I said. To access you, she corrected. We sat in silence for a moment. Outside, a car drove past, headlights sweeping across the window. The house felt smaller suddenly, like the walls were closer than they should be. They've been planning this for months, Elise said. Maybe longer. Why? That's what we need to find out. My phone buzzed. A calendar notification. Emergency board vote, Monday 9 a.m., attendance mandatory. I didn't create that event. I showed Elise. She didn't look surprised. They're moving fast. What do they gain? I asked. They already have management authority. Control isn't the same as authority, Elise said. Authority can be revoked. Control can't, if it's done right. You think they're trying to lock me out completely. I think they're trying to make it look like you locked yourself out. Voluntarily. I stood up, pacing to the window. The street was empty now, streetlights casting orange pools on the wet pavement. Our neighbor's house had lights on, flickering TV glow visible through curtains. Normal life. People watching shows, eating dinner, going to bed without wondering if their children were stealing their lives, piece by piece. We need to go to the bank tomorrow, Elise said. In person. Face to face with someone who can actually pull records. And say what? That there's been a mistake. That you need to verify access profiles because you're concerned about identity confusion. They'll ask why I'm concerned. And you'll tell them you received a confirmation for something you didn't request. That's not paranoia. That's prudence. She was right. She was always right about these things. I sat back down. What about the document? The transfer of control? That's trickier. We need to examine the original, the one you signed, not a copy. Holloway has it. Then we need to get it back, or get a certified copy from wherever he files it. Court records? Probably. Depends on how he structured it. Could be filed with the county. Could be just corporate records. I rubbed my face, feeling the stubble, the weight of the day settling into my bones. I'd built that company from nothing. 30 years of 16-hour days, missed birthdays, canceled vacations, stress that aged me faster than it should have. I did it for them, for Tyler and Brooke, so they'd have something solid, something real. And now, they were taking it. Not asking, taking. What do we do tonight? I asked. Elise closed her laptop. Tonight, We sleep. Tomorrow, we start fighting back. But I didn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the house settle. Every creak sounded wrong. Every shadow looked too deep. I kept thinking about that smile, Holloway's smile as he pushed the pen closer, the way Tyler's suit fit too perfectly, the way Brooke hugged me like she'd practiced it, the way their spouses stood behind them, silent, watching, waiting. Around 3 a.m, I got up and went downstairs. The house was dark except for the ambient glow from streetlights through windows. I opened the drawer in my desk where I kept old files, tax returns, property deeds, business licenses, and copies of corporate documents. I found the articles of incorporation, the original operating agreement, the bylaws I'd written when I first structured the company. Section 7, subsection C. Emergency board meetings may be called with 72 hours notice to all board members. Notice must include agenda items and supporting materials. I checked my email again. The meeting invitation had come through at 4:30 p.m. today, Thursday. The meeting was Monday at 9. That's not 72 hours. That's less than 96 hours. And if you subtract weekends, it's barely 2 business days. They'd violated the bylaws already. I took a photo of the section with my phone and went back upstairs. Elise was awake, sitting up in bed, reading something on her tablet. "Can't sleep either?" I asked. "I've been reviewing case law on fraudulent transfer of control. There's precedent if we can prove coercion or misrepresentation." "I wasn't coerced. You were presented with incomplete information under time pressure. That's constructive coercion." I sat on the edge of the bed. "They're my kids." "I know. I don't want to destroy them. They're trying to destroy you first." I looked at her. In the dim light from the window, her face was shadowed, serious, the face of someone who'd spent years reading contracts designed to trap people. "What if they're just scared?" I asked. "What if they think this is the right thing?" Then they should have asked, not ambushed. She was right again. I lay down beside her, staring at the ceiling again. "The signature," I said. "Dean J. Mercer. Does that matter?" "It matters if they try to use the document in a way that requires verification. A bank, a court, an audit. Anyone who checks will see the signature doesn't match your normal signature pattern. So, it's a delay tactic. It's a crack in their armor, small but real. What if they don't notice?" "They'll notice, eventually, when they try to do something that requires absolute proof of authorization." I closed my eyes. "Tomorrow we go to the bank." "Tomorrow we go to the bank," she confirmed. And I tried to sleep, but sleep was a long time coming. The bank opened at 9. We were there at 8:55 waiting in the parking lot, watching employees unlock doors and turn on lights. The building was modern glass and steel, designed to look trustworthy, with the bank's name in brushed metal letters above the entrance. Elise had dressed in business casual, slacks, blouse, jacket. I wore khakis and a button-down. We looked like any other customers with routine business. Inside, the lobby smelled like coffee and printer toner. Tellers were setting up their stations. A woman at the information desk smiled as we approached. "We need to speak with our relationship manager," I said. "Vera Lang. Do you have an appointment?" "No, but it's urgent. Account security matter." Her smile faltered. "Let me check if she's available." She picked up a phone, spoke quietly, then nodded. "She can see you in a few minutes. Please have a seat." We sat in the waiting area, leather chairs, financial magazines spread on a coffee table, CNN playing silently on a wall-mounted TV. A few other customers came and went, a woman depositing checks, an older man asking about mortgage rates. Normal morning, normal bank, except nothing was normal. Vera appeared after 10 minutes. She was mid-40s, dark hair pulled back, wearing a gray suit that was professional without being intimidating. She'd managed our business accounts for 5 years, had handled every major transaction, every loan refinance, every credit line increase. She knew us. Dean, Elise, she said, shaking hands. Come on back. Her office was small but neat, desk organized, 2 chairs for clients, a window overlooking the parking lot. She closed the door and sat. What can I help you with? I placed my phone on the desk, showing the text message. I received this yesterday. Confirmation of a new access request. The problem is, I didn't request it. Vera's expression shifted. Not alarm, but heightened attention. She pulled the phone closer, read the message, then opened her computer. Let me pull up your account. Her fingers moved across the keyboard. Mercer Services business account. Yes, I see the access request here. Submitted at 2:15 p.m. yesterday. Approved at 3:47 p.m. Who approved it? Our security team. It went through automated verification. What does that mean? She scrolled through screens. The request came from your registered email address. It included scanned identification matching our records. Security questions were answered correctly. The system flagged no anomalies, so it processed automatically. Can you see what device it came from? Not directly, but I can request a security audit. That takes, how long? Usually 24 to 48 hours. Not fast enough. What about the IP address? I can see, hold on. She clicked through more screens. The request originated from an IP registered to your company's network. My office, or someone using my office network. Who has access to your office? Vera asked. Just me and my assistant. And, I stopped. My son has a key. So does my daughter. Vera leaned back slightly. Family access can complicate things. Can you revoke the access that was just added? I can, but I'll need to verify it's actually you requesting the revocation. I'm sitting here. I know, but protocol requires multi-factor verification for any access changes at this level, especially reversals. Elise spoke for the first time. What level of access was granted? Vera checked her screen. Co-manager, full transaction authority, signature power, account visibility. Everything, I said. Yes. Elise folded her hands on her lap. Vera, hypothetically, if someone were to use co-manager access to move funds or change account structures, would the primary account holder be notified? Vera's expression was carefully neutral. Depends on the notification settings. If co-manager access is set up to operate independently, then no. Not until statements are generated. How often are statements generated? Monthly, unless you request interim statements. So someone could operate for weeks without the primary account holder knowing. In theory, yes. I felt cold. Can you freeze any major transactions until I sort this out? I can flag the account for additional verification on transactions over a certain threshold. What amount would you like? Anything over $10,000. She typed. Done. Any transaction above $10,000 will require in-person verification from the primary account holder, you, before processing. What about signature changes or account structure changes? Those already require in-person verification. The access request didn't, because it appeared to come from you with proper credentials. Circular logic. The system trusted the request because the request looked trustworthy. Is there anything else you can do? I asked. Vera hesitated. Off the record. Yes. If you suspect identity fraud or unauthorized access, you should file a formal complaint with our fraud department. That triggers a full investigation, but it also freezes the account during the investigation period. How long? Depends on complexity. Could be days, could be weeks. I couldn't freeze the account for weeks. That would shut down the company. Payroll wouldn't clear. Vendor payments would bounce. Clients would panic. What if I just want enhanced monitoring? I asked. That's what we just did. Transaction threshold alerts. But beyond that, I need either a fraud complaint or a court order. Court order. That meant lawyers, judges, time. Time I might not have. Elise reached over and touched my arm gently. Can you pull transaction history for the past 3 months? Of course. Vera printed out several pages, handed them across the desk. We scanned the columns. Deposits, withdrawals, transfers. Everything looked normal until 2 weeks ago. A transfer, $50,000, to an account I didn't recognize. "What's this?" I pointed. Vera checked her screen. "Internal transfer to a secondary business account. Mercer Services. Operations Reserve." "I don't have an Operations Reserve account." Vera's fingers paused over the keyboard. "According to our records, you opened it 3 weeks ago." I absolutely did not. She pulled up the account details. Opened on November 2nd in person. Driver's license scan on file. Signature card matches. "Let me see the signature card." She printed it. The signature looked like mine. Close enough that a bank employee wouldn't question it, but I could see the difference. The capital M was slightly different. The tail on the R too long. "That's not my signature," I said. Vera looked at it closely. "It's very similar." "Similar isn't the same." "No," she agreed slowly. "It's not." Elise pointed to the account details. "Who has access to this Operations Reserve account?" "2 authorized signers, Dean Mercer and Tyler Mercer." There it was, Tyler's name. "How much is in that account now?" I asked. Vera checked. $175,000. My stomach dropped. "Where did the rest come from?" She scrolled. "Multiple transfers over the past 3 weeks. 25,000 here, 50,000 there, another 100,000 last Friday." "From my main account?" "Yes." I stood up, paced to the window. Parking lot full now. People going about their day. Normal day. "Can you freeze that account?" I asked. "The Operations Reserve? I can flag it for verification, same as the main account." "Do it," she typed. "Done." I turned to face her. "I need copies of everything. Account opening documents, signature cards, transaction logs, access requests. Everything." "I can provide that, but it'll take a few hours to compile." "How many hours?" "By end of business today." "I'll be back at 4. Vera nodded. "Dean, I need to ask directly. Are you alleging fraud?" I looked at Elise. She gave a slight nod. "Not yet," I said carefully. "I'm alleging confusion, mistakes, possibly unauthorized access by someone who has legitimate partial access to my affairs. I need to sort out what's real and what's not, before I make accusations." "That's wise," Vera said. "But if you determine fraud occurred, you need to report it immediately. The longer you wait, the harder it is to recover funds." "Understood." We shook hands and left. In the parking lot, I sat in the driver's seat, but didn't start the car. I just gripped the steering wheel and stared at the dashboard. 175,000, I said. "They've already moved $175,000. And they would have moved more if we hadn't caught it," Elise said. "What are they doing with it?" "That's what we need to find out." I started the car. "Where to?" "Holloway's office. We need to see that document, the original." "He won't just hand it over." "No, but he'll have to show us where it's filed, and once we know where, we can request a certified copy." We drove downtown. The city was busy. Mid-morning traffic, delivery trucks, pedestrians crossing at lights. Everything moved with practiced efficiency. The world kept turning while my life collapsed in slow motion. Holloway's building looked different in daylight, less imposing, more ordinary. We took the elevator to the 12th floor. The reception area was sleek marble and dark wood. A young woman at the desk smiled professionally. "Dean Mercer to see Grant Holloway. No appointment, but it's urgent." She picked up the phone, spoke quietly. "He's with a client right now. Can you wait about 20 minutes?" "We'll wait." We sat. The chairs were expensive and uncomfortable. Legal magazines on the table, a painting on the wall, abstract shapes that probably cost more than my car. Elise pulled out her phone, typing notes. "What are you writing?" I asked quietly. "Timeline. Everything we know in order. When Tyler set up your cloud backup. when the operations account was opened, when the transfer document was created, when the bank access was requested. It's all connected. How? They needed access to your digital identity first. Passwords, email, cloud storage. That gave them the tools to impersonate you with the bank. Once they had bank access, they could move money quietly. The control transfer document is the final piece. It makes everything retroactively legal, or at least defensible. That's sophisticated. Megan, Elise said. She works in finance, doesn't she? I nodded. Portfolio management, private clients. She knows exactly how these systems work. She probably designed the whole thing. And Cole? He's a lawyer. That stopped me. What kind? Corporate law, business transactions. I'd known that. Of course I'd known that. I'd been at their wedding. I'd heard him talk about his work, but I'd never connected it to this. Cole knew how to structure legal documents. Megan knew how to move money. Tyler had access to my office. Brooke had social reach. She knew everyone, belonged to every board, could shape narratives. This wasn't impulse. This was strategy. Holloway emerged from his office with another client, shook hands, and saw us sitting there. His smile was warm, but his eyes were calculating. Dean, Elise, what a nice surprise. Come on in. His office was large, windows overlooking the city, bookshelves filled with law volumes that probably never got opened, a desk that could sleep 4 people. What can I do for you? He asked, settling into his chair. The document we signed yesterday, I said. The transfer of control. I'd like to see it again. Of course. Is there a problem? Just want to review the details. Make sure I understand everything. Perfectly reasonable. He opened a file cabinet, pulled out a folder, placed it on the desk. I opened it. The document looked identical to what I'd signed. 20 pages, dense language, my signature on the final page. Except the signature said Dean Mercer, not Dean J. Mercer. I stared at it. This isn't the document I signed. Holloway leaned forward. I'm sorry? This signature. It's different. I don't understand. I pulled out my phone, opened the photo app, showed him a picture of my driver's license. This is my signature, Dean J. Mercer. I always include the middle initial on legal documents, always. Holloway examined the phone, then the document. This looks like your signature to me. Look closer. The middle initial is missing. He squinted. Dean, I watched you sign this yesterday. This is the document you signed. No, I said evenly. This is a document with my signature. But it's not the signature I made. Are you suggesting I altered it? I'm suggesting the document was modified after I signed it. Holloway's face hardened slightly. That's a serious accusation. It's an observation. Elise spoke, her voice calm. Grant, is this the only copy? There's a scanned version in our digital files, and we'll be filing the original with the county clerk next week. Not the court? No, this type of document goes to county records. It's a corporate governance filing. So you haven't filed it yet. We wanted to give Dean time to review and confirm before making it official, which is why we scheduled the follow-up board meeting for Monday. The meeting I didn't schedule, I said. Holloway's expression was patient, the way you'd look at someone who's confused but manageable. Tyler and Brooke scheduled it as co-managers. That's within their authority under the document. The document I'm disputing. You signed it. With a different signature than appears here. We stared at each other. Dean, Holloway said slowly. You're clearly stressed. This is a big change and I understand it's emotional, but questioning the validity of a document you personally signed in front of witnesses is not productive. Who notarized it? Elise asked suddenly. Holloway flipped to the last page. Linda Voss. She's a notary in our office. Can we speak with her? She's out today, but I can have her call you Monday. We need to speak with her before Monday. Why? Because the notary stamp is dated Tuesday, Elise said. But we signed the document Thursday. That's a 2-day discrepancy. Holloway looked at the stamp. Must be a clerical error. Linda probably pre-stamped the pages. That's illegal, Elise said. It's a mistake, not fraud. A mistake that calls the entire document into question. Holloway closed the folder. I think we're done here. If you have genuine concerns about the document's validity, you can consult your own attorney and take whatever legal action you deem appropriate. But I can assure you, everything was done properly. I want the original, I said. The original stays with our office until filing. Then I want a certified copy. You can request one from the county after we file. Before you file. That's not standard procedure. I stood up. Then change your procedure. Holloway stood as well. Dean, I've been your family's attorney for 8 years. I've helped you with contracts, disputes, estate planning. I've always acted in your best interest. This adversarial posture is unwarranted. The adversarial posture started when my kids tried to take my company without asking. They're not taking anything. They're helping you transition gracefully. By moving money into accounts I didn't open? His expression didn't change, but I saw the micro-adjustment, the slight tightening around his eyes. He knew. Of course he knew. I don't know what you're referring to, he said carefully. You know exactly what I'm referring to. Elise touched my arm. We should go. She was right. Pushing further here would just put him on alert. We left without shaking hands. In the elevator, Elise said, He's going to call them the second we're gone. I know. They'll accelerate. I know. We need to move faster. The elevator doors opened. We walked through the lobby. Outside, the cold air hit like a slap. My phone buzzed. Text message from Tyler. Dad, heard you went to Grant's office. Everything okay? Want to grab lunch? I showed Elise. Don't respond, she said. Why? Because anything you say can be used to measure your state of mind. They're documenting, building a narrative that you're confused, irrational, maybe declining. I'm not declining. I know. But they'll try to make it look that way. Concerned children, worried about Dad's judgment, acting in his best interest. It's a classic play. We got in the car. I sat there, engine running, heat blasting. What now? I asked. Now, we find out where the money went. Sunday morning, I woke at 9. The storm had passed, leaving cold air and clear skies. Everything looked washed clean, but I knew better. The mess was still there, just hidden under a thin layer of normalcy. Elise was already setting up the dining room. She'd printed Ray's report, organized it into folders, and laid out documents in neat stacks. The table looked like a courtroom exhibit. When did you become a lawyer? I asked. I married someone who needed one. Fair point. At 11:30, I got a text from Tyler. We'll be there at noon. No argument, no questions, just confirmation. They're coming, I told Elise. All 4? He said we, so I assume. Are you ready? I looked at the evidence spread across the table. Property records, transaction logs, LLC filings, bank statements, timeline documents. Ready as I'll ever be. At noon exactly, 2 cars pulled into our driveway. Tyler's BMW, Brooke's Mercedes. They parked side by side, engines shutting off in sync. They sat in their cars for a moment, probably steeling themselves before getting out. Tyler and Megan emerged first. Tyler wore jeans and a sweater, casual but expensive. Megan wore slacks and a blouse, professional armor. Brooke and Cole came next. Brooke looked tired, makeup not quite hiding the shadows under her eyes. Cole looked wary. Elise opened the door before they knocked. Come in. They filed into the house, awkward and tense. Nobody hugged. Nobody smiled. We gathered in the dining room. They saw the documents and stopped. What is this? Tyler asked. Sit down, I said. They sat. The 4 of them on one side. Elise and me on the other. I picked up the first folder, slid it across the table. Let's start with facts. No accusations. Just information you should know. Tyler opened the folder. His eyes scanned the first page. Property deed. MC Ventures LLC. Megan and Cole's names. What is this? He asked again, looking at Megan. She didn't answer immediately. It's a commercial property, I said. Downtown, retail space, purchased 6 months ago by Megan and Cole through their company, MC Ventures. Brooke looked at Cole. You bought a building? Cole shifted. It's an investment. An investment funded how? I asked. Silence. I slid another document across. Loan records. You borrowed against your personal assets, cars, retirement accounts, your homes, your leverage to the limit. Megan's face was pale. That's private information. It's public record. Anyone can access it. Why are you showing us this? Tyler demanded. Because you gave them $50,000, I said, sliding another page. Wire transfer from your account to MC Ventures, 6 weeks ago. Tyler's face went slack. That was a loan. For what? Megan said, she said it was for the investment fund, Harbor Point. There is no fund, Elise said quietly. Harbor Point isn't registered anywhere. It's a name on a website. The money went to the building. Brooke was staring at Cole. You told me your firm was giving you a partnership stake. You said we needed to invest in your career. Cole's jaw tightened. That was separate. Was it? I asked. Or did you use her connections and my company to fund your failing property deal? It's not failing, Megan said sharply. There's a contractor lien, I said, sliding the document. $20,000 unpaid. The renovation deadline is December 31st. If you don't finish, the lender forecloses. You lose everything. Megan looked like she'd been slapped. Tyler stood up. You used me. We needed capital, Megan said. You understood that. I understood we were building something together, not that you were using my family to bail out your disaster. Tyler, how much? He interrupted. How much of my dad's money went to your building? Megan didn't answer. I slid another document. $175,000, transferred from the operations account you helped create to MC Ventures. Brooke stood now, facing Cole. You lied to me. I didn't lie. You said we were securing the family business. You said we were protecting our future. We are. By stealing from my father to cover your debts? Cole's face flushed. It's not stealing. It's reallocating resources. Resources that should have been ours anyway. Ours? I asked. Or yours? He didn't answer. Tyler turned to me. How long have you known? Since Friday. Why didn't you call the police? Because you're my son, and Brooke's my daughter, and I hoped you were victims, not accomplices. We are victims, Brooke said, her voice breaking. Then prove it, Elise said. Tell us everything. How they recruited you, how they sold the plan, what they promised. Tyler sank back into his chair. He looked at Megan, then at me. Megan said you were planning to retire, that you'd be stepping back anyway. She said if we positioned ourselves early, we could take over smoothly, avoid transition chaos. And you believed her. She had documents, projections. She made it sound logical. What about the bank access? I asked. The operations account? Tyler's voice was flat. Cole drafted the authorization documents. He said it was standard practice for succession planning. Did you know someone would impersonate me to open the account? No. His voice cracked. I swear, I didn't know about that. I looked at Cole. Did you? Cole's face was stone. I structured the documents legally. What others did with them isn't my responsibility. So you knew. I knew nothing illegal. Lying to a bank with false identification is illegal. I didn't lie to anyone. But you knew someone would. Silence. Brooke was crying now, quiet tears running down her face. I didn't want this. Then why did you do it? I asked. Because Cole said you'd never voluntarily give up control. He said you'd work until you died, and we'd be waiting forever. He said this was the only way. The only way to what? To have a life. To build something of our own. By destroying mine? She didn't answer. I stood up, walked to the window. Outside, the street was quiet. A neighbor was raking leaves. A dog barked somewhere. Normal life. While mine exploded. Here's what's going to happen, I said, turning back. Tomorrow morning there's a board meeting. You know this. You scheduled it. They nodded. I'm going to attend. I'm going to present all of this evidence. And I'm going to ask the board to void the control transfer on grounds of fraud and misrepresentation. You can't, Cole said. Watch me. The document is filed. It's legal. It's fraudulent. The signature was altered. The notary date is wrong. The bank access was obtained through impersonation. Any lawyer worth their retainer will tell you it won't survive a challenge. That will take months to litigate. I have months. Do you? Cole's face paled. December 31st, I continued. Your renovation deadline. If you don't finish, you lose the building and default on your loans. You'll be bankrupt. We'll get the money, Megan said. Not from me. I've frozen the accounts. Every transaction over $10,000 requires my in-person approval, and I'm not approving anything. You can't do that. I already did. Tyler looked broken. What do you want? I sat back down. I want you to tell the truth. At the board meeting, you admit you were manipulated. You admit the control transfer was fraudulent. You support its dissolution. And if we do, then I won't press charges. I won't sue. I won't destroy you publicly. You walk away bruised, but intact. What about Megan and Cole? They're not my children. I don't care what happens to them. Megan stood abruptly. You arrogant. Sit down, Tyler said. She stared at him. Sit down. She sat. Tyler looked at me. If we do this, if we admit everything, what happens to us? To our positions in the company? You keep your jobs. Reduced authority, but you keep your jobs. You'll earn back trust over time, or you won't. That's up to you. And the money? The $175,000? You pay it back, installments, interest-free, but you pay it back. Over how long? 5 years. Tyler looked at Brooke. She nodded slowly. Okay, Tyler said. We'll do it. Megan stood again. You can't agree to this without talking to me. You lied to me, Tyler said, his voice hard. You used me. You put my family at risk. We're done. Tyler, get out of my sight! Megan looked at Cole. He wouldn't meet her eyes. She grabbed her purse and left. The door slammed. Cole stood slowly. Brooke, don't, Brooke said. Just don't. He left without another word. The three of us, me, Tyler, Brooke, sat in silence. I'm sorry, Tyler finally said. For what specifically? I asked. For believing them, for not questioning it, for being stupid. You weren't stupid, you were impatient.